It's the 9th of April 2026, and I have never seen so much fake news in mainstream media, mainly currently to do with what's happening in the Middle East. And the reason that we're seeing so much fake news is because it's controlled by a country in the Middle East. The information that's coming out is unbelievably inaccurate over against the truth. And they are very, very frustrated by the fact that they can't get their narrative out. They can't get their propaganda out. It's falling apart because it's not just me. There are many other truthers out there that are establishing what's really going on. And whether it's to do with Israel or Gaza or the Lebanon or the Straits of Hormuz or Iran, whatever it is, they have a narrative that they want to stick to. And they're very frustrated by the truth community coming out and telling the truth. What's happening there is all part of the pantomime. It's all theatre. It's all done to wake up the masses. Because what's really happening has already happened in real time. It happened 3 to 4 years ago. And we're seeing a complete collapse of the old system and an exposure of how corrupt they really are. Because the people have to see it to believe it. If they didn't see it, they wouldn't believe it.
Patriots, I'm at Restored Republic via a GCR update for Friday, April the 10th, 2026, compiled by Judy Byington. Trump signs historic executive order. No more biolabs. Frankenstein science. Fauci lies or pandemic experiments in U.S. Trump's global military alliance still rescuing thousands of tortured children as satanic ritual abuse of children still rampant throughout the world. And we have a quote from Virginia Woolf, "When you consider things like the stars, our affairs don't seem to matter very much." Judy, note, the message today was not only hard to hear, but very personal. So I pray you hang with me to the end. One day, through prayer, I realized that Heavenly Father gave me a life's mission to expose the satanic ritual abuse of children. I have had some very sacred experiences as a result. People tend to not want to believe that this horrid cruelty to children was going on all around them. So more often than not, they dismissed or ignored any conversation about satanic ritual abuse, the very reason the horrid cruelty was allowed to exist. Ignoring Satan's influence on our society only helped the dark side continue their illegal practices that were tearing our children and society apart. Children can't be protected unless we believed them. Yet, very organized and powerful satanic covens existed throughout our society, in every state, every large city, and in most small ones. They practiced evil deeds on orders from the Illuminati and Vatican's Ninth Circle satanic cult, with the goal of influencing and taking over our governments and world monetary system. My 36 years of research and contact with SRA therapists, police investigators, religious entities, and SRA survivors tells me that pedophilia, torture, and human sacrifice of children in homage to Satan has been going on since the beginning of time and very much practiced even today. The vile satanic rites of pedophilia and human sacrifice of innocent babies, children, and teens have been handed down generation to generation in multi-generational satanic families. Some family members were perpetrators, some victims, and others, because of the sophisticated mind control programming, had no idea ritual abuse was going on in their family. Satanic perpetrators manipulate others outside the family to practice their dark religion for money, power, and/or sexual pleasures. Regular, at least monthly satanic holidays where children were raped, tortured, and murdered were observed today all over the world, though this was very hidden within our various societies. The cruel practices were used by very powerful people to gain riches, power, and glory across the globe. Satanists were embedded in different governments and legal systems, police departments, mafias, gangs, cartels, the Vatican, and especially found in high positions in churches and all U.S. federal departments and state governments. I also bear my testimony and know with every fiber of my being that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the Lord's restored church that was established with Adam, reestablished when Jesus Christ came to this earth, and reestablished again with Joseph Smith for this final dispensation of time. Because of this, satanic perpetrators try extra hard to work their way into high positions in the Lord's church in order to hide their evil practices. Satanists go to great extents to hide their evil ways. The 1990 Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints ritual abuse report written by Elder Glenn Pace stated that several victims identified some prominent church leaders as their abusers. In researching this, I found that Satanists were very adept at using drugs on their child victims and sophisticated masks on themselves to make it appear they were prominent people, including church leaders who were doing the abuse and torture. This was not to dismiss the Satanists were members of the church as they were of other churches. Elder Pace's report pointed out that they hired a genealogist to trace perpetrator lineage and excommunicated any Satanists found, and then turned the information over to legal authorities. I'm sure the problem of Satanists in all churches remained. One part of Elder Pace's report discussed victims being abused in the celestial room of the Salt Lake Temple. In my research, I found that at the same time the Salt Lake Temple was being built by the early pioneers, Masons were building their temple down the street. It is believed they built a room in the Masonic Temple that looked like the celestial room of the Salt Lake Temple, complete with an altar used for child sacrifice. The Masonic Temple was accessible through an underground tunnel that ran between Temple Square and the Masonic Temple down the street, not unlike the many satanic tunnels throughout the world. Sophisticated underground tunnel systems used for child sex trafficking have been found beneath the child trafficking capitals of the Vatican, Washington, D.C., Ukraine, and Palestine, and then stretched for thousands of miles under seas and continents across the globe. The tunnels were connected to every major city on Earth, even lay beneath Capitol Hill in the White House. They were equipped with rail systems, living quarters, and illegal bioweapon labs. SRA survivors claim they have been tortured in those tunnels and bioweapon labs, especially naming the tunnel systems beneath Disneyland, Disney World, and Utah's own theme park called Lagoon. See the below video interview of SRA survivor McKinley below. The above was all part of satanic mind control programming, which has dramatic effects on the child victims throughout their lives. They grow up believing church leaders were satanic perpetrators. They believe satanic principles were ingrained in church teachings. This fear tended to rule the victims' lives, making them afraid of even attending church. Victims were afraid of turning to heavenly guidance for help, and the victim's recall of abuse was unbelievable and dismissed by others, especially investigators. Other techniques Satanists used to program victims against seeking spiritual guidance in their lives was explained by SRA survivor McKinley in the video below. I have spent over 36 years investigating the satanic ritual abuse of children, especially here in Utah, the center of the worldwide Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have followed a particular satanic Western regional leader and chronicled his practices. What surprised me most, that when trying to report to legal authorities, county sheriffs, police departments, Utah Attorney General, SRA investigators, FBI, his torture and murder of specific children, even giving times, dates, witnesses, and other perpetrators present, I was met with complete resistance, even anger. And just a side note, I've heard that there are towns where the whole town, like teachers, principals, cops, they're all in on it. They're all part of a coven. That's why sometimes they don't do anything. It's my understanding, is they don't want to be caught. No government entity would take my information seriously, let alone open an investigation, except for one instance where the case was quickly opened and closed without interviewing witnesses nor requesting other information I had on the case. The same happened with out-of-state police departments and legal authorities when presenting them identity of satanic perpetrators discussed in my book, 22 Faces Inside the Extraordinary Life of Jenny Hill and Her 22 Multiple Personalities, all of which left me with the distinct impression that Satanists were implanted everywhere to shut down such investigations and discourage ritual abuse survivors from telling the torture and abuse they have experienced through their lives. It's embedded everywhere. That's the problem. They're cops, they're investigators, they're teachers, they're, mayors of towns. It's everywhere. It reminds me of Jeffrey Epstein's butler, who was caught in an FBI sting in 2009 trying to sell Epstein's client and victim list. He explained Epstein's entire international operation. That was 17 years ago, and the FBI did nothing about it. I was told by an FBI agent that FBI headquarters didn't believe in the existence of the satanic ritual abuse. Yes, they know. And was the reason they would not open a case on the perpetrators of Jenny Hill of my book. Lies. They know. The FBI knows. In early 2016, I was excited to learn that on the morning of President Trump's inauguration, paid a visit to CIA headquarters and announced he was declaring a war on human trafficking. As it turned out, he was really declaring war on child sex trafficking, in which the CIA had been deeply involved since they were formed after World War II. They have a division called the Handlers. Look that up. It's pretty scary stuff. Beginning in October 2017 and ongoing even today, Trump's global military alliance has been in training for and held coordinated raids on the massive network of deep state elite tunnels and bioweapon labs across the world to rescue child victims. The rescues began on Wednesday, October 16, 2019, when 10,000 U.S. Marines, Navy SEALs, and Special Forces rescued over 2,100 caged babies and children beneath the China Lake Navy facility in California. The children and teens were said to have been sexually abused, tortured, and killed to collect their adrenaline. Please take a few moments to review the following video. It's an April 2026 interview with 20-year-old McKinley, an SRA survivor who has garnered the courage to speak out about his abuse and perpetrators. Wednesday, April 8, 2026, McKinley exposes satanic ritual abuse in Utah. And there's the link, Unbreakable. McKinley exposes satanic rituals in Utah. The brave McKinley represents thousands, likely millions of SRA survivors. His story is similar to many other survivors whom I have interviewed in my 36 years. It's only when such victim survivors, like him, speak out, and more importantly, we believe them, that the ritualized rape, torture, and murder of our children is going to be investigated and hopefully someday be ended. More information on those tunnels could be found in my last two updates. And we have some links, situation update, Byington bombshell report, Trump taking down Cuba, expect EBS blackout martial law, lockdown during mass arrest before it's news. Wednesday, April 8th, Byington bombshell report, Trump taking down Cabal, expect EBS blackout martial law, lockdown during mass arrests. And then situation update, We the People News, And then April 9th, situation update, Trump taking down Cuba. Thursday the 9th, situation update. As Commander-in-Chief of the Global Military Alliance, President Trump gave a go for the global military to take down the Cabal. Video before it's news. Possible timing. On Monday, April 6th, the new global quantum financial system was operational in 209 nations, with gold-backed currencies ending the fiat debt slavery. Trump had ripped financial control of the world from the Cabal, restoring the sovereign U.S. Treasury. No income taxes, tariffs, and fair sales tax now ruled. On Tuesday, April 7th, banks were briefly dark as old debts were erased. IRS abolished, prosperity funds launched for We the People. SWIFT, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, admitted that all messages about financial payments must now only be sent in the ISO 20022 format. This format worked with a number of payment and settlement methods, such as wire transfers across borders and securities transactions. This had an impact on over 11,000 banks, 200 countries, and $5 to $7 trillion worth of transactions every day. By Wednesday, April 8th, medbeds activated in secure military facilities globally. Plasma energy and quantum AI technology regenerated bodies at a DNA level, rebuilding organs, reversing aging, and healing vaccine bioweapon damage. Vaccine-injured patriots, wounded veterans, and rescued dumb children were prioritized. Holographic scans downloaded complete evidence of SRA trafficking and adrenochrome horrors for tribunals. On Monday, April 13, 2026, free medbed access expands globally, destroying Big Pharma's monopoly forever. Humanitarian projects funded by Zim Redemptions ensure every patriot receives healing as their divine right. On Saturday, April 18th, medbed centers open in communities everywhere, alongside free energy technologies, empowering full independence from the old control grid. On Monday, April 20th, 2026, free medbeds available everywhere as production ramps using declassified patents. Universal access granted to all citizens ready to experience true healing. On Tuesday, April 21st, medbed evidence triggers mass convictions against satanic elites and traffickers. On July 4th, 2026, Trump's spectacular independence celebration marks full QFS and medbed global rollout. The restored republic triumphs as medbeds heal the population from years of oppression. Martial law, Thursday, April 9th, 2026. Military tanks are now patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. all night long. Tier 4B martial law on Telegram.
That's right.
Thursday, April 9th, breaking. Iran strikes reveal direct undersea super tunnel to U.S. soil. Project Odin martial law on Telegram. President Trump safe in the secure White Hat command bunker. Just watch the impossible happen live. The precision strikes on Iran triggered the master tunnel map to explode with a new glowing red line, a 5,000-mile undersea super tunnel running straight from Iranian deep state bunkers into hidden U.S. coastal domes along California and Florida. U.S. Army forces under Trump's direct command are already inside both ends, raiding live as we speak. Temporary martial law is now expanded to full coastal lockdown to protect the rescue ops. Thursday, April 9th, martial law on Telegram. Military raids on Clinton estates uncovered 7-mile high-speed rail dumb tunnel systems connected to the White House and Oval Office, complete with children's cages, ritual chambers, and blood altars bearing the presidential seal. Similar evidence points to Hillary's biolab network and the Vatican's Ninth Circle satanic cult, running international child sacrifice and trafficking rings, with mass graves in Canada, Ireland, and Spain, holding hundreds of thousands of victims. Martial law enables worldwide pedophile arrests as 8-hour documentaries in 22 languages reveal the satanic deep state agenda. Martial law extends for purges, continued unsealing of indictments with tribunal action. Thursday, April 9th, QFS Nasara Jasara has been activated. What is Nasara? National Economic Security and Reform Act. What is JASARA? Global Economic Security and Reform Act. What does Nasara do? Each country maintains their sovereignty. You as a person maintain your sovereignty. Yes, you own your stuff. Land, home, cars. Each country has their own sovereign physical and digital currency that is backed by precious metals. Utility-backed currency with values, not as with the corrupt fiat system. Each country worships as they pleases. Each country governs itself independently. Currencies worldwide, digital, physical, are placed on a level playing field that brings fairness to the world trade markets, all backed by precious metals. Society will not be entirely cashless. Rather, all currencies, physical or digital, will be backed with tangible precious metals. This is the reason why we are currently witnessing a steady collapse of the central banking system worldwide, as the decentralized financial market system revolution continues. Over $106 billion, 106 billions, are in circulation payments to all citizens. These funds are obtainable through your Q phones. The hour has arrived. We all prayed for this day. Obtain and configure your quantum phones. QFS Nassar Jassar has been activated. The greatest wealth transfer in the history of humanity is here. Apply for your Nassar Jassar Sovereign Wealth Funds today. The green light is already given. Most will hear about this later. A few will see it first. Enter the official Tier 4B ISO 20022 now. Looks like a Telegram channel. Link right there. Global Currency Reset, Thursday, April 9th. We have a link. Vietnam Dong value skyrockets. Are you holding it? And Thursday, April 9th, Bruce the Big Call. A person working with the Redemption Center was told to not go out of state and stay up to 17 days after exchanges start. A source said Tier 4B notification were pending for Tuesday, 14th of April, but Wednesday, April 15th was a shoo-in. Another source said Tuesday, April 14th or Wednesday, April 15th with exchanges, Wednesday, April 15th or Thursday, April 16th. Another source said notification would happen Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, 14th, 15th, and 16th of April. Last Tuesday, April 7th at midnight, the petrodollar was dead. This was code word for the end of the SWIFT system. 4 countries were still trying to use SWIFT, but it was no longer available. ZIM holders are the only ones who had to sign an NDA, and there were 1,437 accounts seized in Geneva, Zurich, and Cayman Islands a couple of days ago. The new U.S. Treasury note will be available at our exchanges. There was supposed to be an announcement about how much gold the U.S. has sometime between Saturday, April 11th and Wednesday, April 15th. Save the Children, Thursday, April 9th. Justin Bieber reveals Diddy and Usher drained his blood in sickening adrenochrome rituals. Justin Bieber finally came forward and accused his former mentors, Sean Diddy Combs and Usher, of something truly vile. He says they spent years slurping on his blood while he was under their control. Quantum Financial System on Telegram. Thursday, April 9th, 2026, 300,000 Spanish babies were stolen at birth. Nurses said they died. The graves were empty. Between 1939 and 1987, an estimated 300,000 babies were stolen from their mothers in Spanish hospitals. Nurses told mothers their babies had died. The hospitals handled the burials. The mothers were never allowed to see the bodies. When investigators opened the graves, they found stones. The network involved doctors, nurses, nuns, and priests. It began as an ideological program under Francisco Franco designed to prevent Republican mothers from raising their children. After Franco's death in 1975, it continued as a profitable black market until 1987, when new adoption laws finally made it too difficult to operate. To this day, no Spanish government has formally acknowledged that the trafficking of babies was a state policy. Over 3,000 cases are pending. The first trial did not happen until 2018. The Spanish Senate passed a law recognizing the victims in 2022. 83 years after the program began, everything in this video is drawn from documented sources, including Spanish National Archive records, Spanish Senate legislative records, court proceedings, forensic DNA evidence, and survivor testimony. This is not theory. The graves are empty. Thursday, April the 9th, MIT fed radioactive oatmeal to disabled children. Parents were told it was a science club. YouTube link. Thursday, April 9th, NASA posted a new photo of the galaxy stating it was taken by the Artemis crew on April 7th, 2026. However, a reverse image search shows that it is the same exact photo dating back to at least 2008. Case closed. NASA is fake. We live in affirmative.
And so all the goyim out here are really eating the children. And even when we say this outright and tell you people, you don't believe it. So that's your problem.
Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Special Forces rescue kidnapped American children from Ecuador, narco hellhole. Edward Snowden on Telegram. Once again, United States Special Operations Forces have rescued kidnapped American children from South American drug lords who traffic in innocent lives. Late last night, elite Green Berets from the U.S. Army's 5th Special Forces Group stormed a remote, heavily fortified cartel compound in southern Ecuador, freeing a dozen American children held captive for months in horrific conditions. The bold raid received personal approval from President Donald J. Trump following secure communications with Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa. This mission underscores Trump's commitment to leave no child behind as he battles the forces preying on the vulnerable. Military sources with direct knowledge state 3 MH-6 Little Bird helicopters inserted the team deep in the jungle near the Colombian border, roughly 40 miles from Guayaquil. The target was the stronghold of the Los Choneros cartel, known for drugs, extortion, and child trafficking operations. Surveillance, intelligence, and cooperation located the American kids treated as saleable goods. Trump informed Noboa that American forces would retrieve the children and deal with the narco-terrorists decisively. The Ecuadorian president conceded, claiming no knowledge of the captives, and offered local troops, but Trump declined, insisting on using America's unmatched military to handle it. In the pre-dawn hours, special forces silently killed a dozen sentries on the perimeter and in the guard tower, then eliminated 6 more guarding the children's hut. The 7 boys and 5 girls, aged 7 to 14, were huddled in a filthy hut, severely dehydrated, malnourished, bearing insect bite infections and wounds. One 11-year-old girl had gone over 10 days without solid food, revealing the brutality they faced. These children survived hell thanks to the flawless execution by the Special Forces. No American casualties occurred as the team declared the site after the cartel opened fire. The full rescue wrapped in under 9 minutes. The children were exfiltrated safely before the compound was demolished with explosives. President Trump emphasized these are American children who would not be abandoned on his watch. The operation reflects true national honor and America First principles in action. As Trump leads the fight against global trafficking networks tied to corrupt elites, this rescue fires up patriots everywhere, proving that the military is actively saving the children and dismantling the cabal one decisive strike at a time.
The U.S. military has confirmed new joint operations in Ecuador targeting powerful drug trafficking gangs. According to U.S. Southern Command, American forces are working alongside Ecuador's military in what officials describe as a campaign against narco-terrorist organizations. The operation began in early March after Ecuador's government requested international help to confront escalating cartel violence. Ecuador declared an internal armed conflict in 2024 after gang violence surged across the country, including prison riots, assassinations, and attacks on police. In recent years, Ecuador has also become a major transit hub for cocaine shipments moving from South America to the United States and Europe. U.S. officials say their role includes intelligence support, surveillance, operational planning, and coordination with Ecuadorian forces. Ecuadorian forces are leading ground operations, while U.S. personnel provide support and strategic assistance. Footage released by the military shows helicopters, surveillance imagery, and joint planning operations, though exact locations and targets have not been disclosed. Officials also have not released details about casualties, arrests, or how long the mission will continue. What is clear is that this marks a significant escalation of U.S. involvement in Ecuador's fight against organized crime. For now, many key details about the operation remain classified.
What we think we know as of Friday, April 10th, 2026, Thursday, April 9th, the documents Pfizer tried to hide for 75 years will make your blood boil. 270 pregnant women got vaccinated during Pfizer's study. 234 of those pregnancy records completely vanished. That's a cover-up. Of the 36 women they actually tracked, over 80% lost their babies, and Pfizer knew it. Pfizer and their FDA pals wanted these documents sealed until 2096 because Big Pharma and their cronies at the FDA, CDC, and NIH knew the truth from day one. They knew pregnant women were at risk. They knew babies were dying. They pushed it anyway because there's too much money at stake. The same agencies that told us it was safe and effective were the same ones hiding all the data proving otherwise. Crimes against humanity. Gitmo now on Telegram.
President of the United States just posted this.
Show them the thimerosal ball, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic. Has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. It specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff.
And it's in vaccine.
And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires, it's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed
You had last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is the influenza vaccine from Adventist Pasteur, their flu zone. Thimerosal, 25 micrograms of mercury per dose.
I'd like to point out that a lot of people didn't know, and I'm one of them. I've given 2,000 Rogam shots. I've been in vaccines for 35 years. I didn't know that Rogam had thimerosal in it. So I think a lot of the doctors were unaware. They were unaware that even the word thimerosal meant mercury.
And Thursday, April 9th, 2026, after a 68% error rate with mail-in ballots was found in the Michigan 2020 election, a forensic audit of Dominion voting machines by election experts was performed. The results were released by a judge that read, "We conclude that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposefully designed with inherent errors to create systematic fraud and influence election results. The system intentionally generates an enormously high number of ballot errors. The electronic ballots are then transferred for adjudication. The intentional errors lead to bulk adjudication of ballots with no oversight, no transparency, and no audit trail. This leads to voter or election fraud. Based on our study, we conclude that the Dominion voting system should not be used in Michigan. We further conclude that the results of Antrim County should not have been certified, Edwards noted on Telegram. Thursday, April 9, 2026, Fox News. 5 hospice fraudsters arrested in Gavin Newsom's California for $267 million scheme purchasing out-of-state identities off the dark web, then billing taxpayers. The fraud in California is off the chart under Governor Newsom's watch. Thursday, April 9th, Glenn Beck revealed he has documents showing a deliberate plan by Muslims in America, noting that New York City mosques grew from 84 in 2001 to over 400 today. Yet Muslims still block streets and public parks for prayers. He said that Muslim Brotherhood took over many mosques, exploiting America's charitable nature, and that Americans were asked for help while a clear plan to expand influence was being laid out, fully documented in the materials he possesses. We got to get rid of these extreme Muslim Brotherhood people. This stuff is not compatible at all with who we are, our laws, our Constitution, our religion. I mean, it's not compatible. And it's actually, the religion itself, they commit crimes against humanity. They stone women and they throw homosexual people off bridges. And I mean, I don't understand how we're tolerating this. This is a very dangerous situation. They're trying to invade us from within. Thursday, April 9th, breaking special report, the 2028 strategy, how the system is reorganizing to stop Vance and recapture Trump's America. A strategy already in motion, not a future scenario, amgnews.com. Thursday, April 9th, shadow government. Obama accused of secret NATO-backed channel as Trump resets America's global role. Allegations of a parallel diplomatic network shake Washington. AMG News. Thursday, April 9th, breaking. Whistleblowers shocking revelations from the mysterious drowning of Barack Obama's chef and lover outside his Martha's Vineyard estate. AMG News. Thursday, April 9th, breaking. U.S. debt clock. Recaptured ownership. The system they built versus the America they fear. Who really owns America? The question that changes everything. AMG News. Thursday, April 9th, Code Black. From the War Room, Deep State leak exposes why they had to eliminate General Flynn. We have it all. Wasn't a threat, it was a death sentence for their secrets. Video, AMG News. And Thursday, April 9th, boom, Trump signs historic executive order. No more secret biolabs, Frankenstein science, Fauci lies, or pandemic experiments on U.S. soil. Video, AMG News.
Found that those involved in this fraud, in this scheme, would purchase personal identifying information for people who live outside of California on the dark web, and then enroll them into covered California, posing as California residents. Straw owners then bought up a number of hospice companies and began billing Medi-Cal for non-existent services for those stolen identities. They used fake records, non-existent offices, and fake diagnoses to justify these claims. Meanwhile, the so-called patients were healthy, out of state, and completely unaware that they had been enrolled in hospice care. Once the money was paid out, it was funneled through a complex web of over 130 shell companies and hidden across bank accounts, payment apps, and cryptocurrency to evade detection. The money was laundered.
Good morning, it's Friday, it's the 10th of April, 2026, the end of another week, and a very interesting week it's been. Everything that's happening right now is to distract from the collapse of the old financial system, the old US dollar, the euro, and the pound, There are those countries that are already ahead of the game, but we're watching the complete dismantling of an old system. What's happening at the moment in Israel, Iran, Lebanon is all part of the distraction. It's very interesting when you dig deep into what's actually happening, because in the movie, it's very, very distressing, and my heart goes out to the people of Lebanon because they're getting hit very, very hard by Israel at the moment. And we have friends in the Lebanon, and they're telling us exactly what's going on. They are getting hit very hard by Israel, and they were hit within 2 hours of the ceasefire being announced. And then Israel was like, "No, we didn't want to include the Lebanon. We wanted to hit them." And this just shows what a rogue group of people they are. They've gone completely rogue, and now we're in a very difficult position because America has to detach itself. And America has detached itself, but the United States is still attached to Israel. Listen to what I've just said. The United States is still attached to Israel, but America is detached already. But we're watching the complete collapse of the United States corporation, along with Israel, who are a complete rogue nation, whether you like them or not. The way that they go about their business, where they believe they're better than everybody else in the world and nobody else matters, and there's no law that sits above them. Allegedly. This is all being exposed. This is all part of the exposure. And they, of course, they've controlled the money. They used to print it. So we're watching the complete collapse of the old system. There's a lot of people out there who are turning on Trump at the moment. But Trump had to infiltrate them to find out what they were doing. He's not their friend. He's just pretending to be, and has been pretending to be for a while now in the movie, to expose them. That's how you do it. This is fifth generation warfare. This is the art of war. We're going through a difficult period. And don't jump too soon because of what you're seeing. There's so much going on right now. You're watching a movie. You're watching a pantomime. You've been told 1,000 times. Be very careful, because what you're seeing a lot of the time is not exactly what's happening. This is the art of war. Drew, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everyone. Well, following on from that, Charlie, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's long-running corruption trial is set to resume on Sunday, following a pause due to the emergency measures during the recent conflict with Iran. The trial, which began in 2020, involves charges including bribery, fraud, and breach of trust, all of which Netanyahu denies. The outcome remains closely watched by both in Israel and internationally.
It's a very interesting case because during this trial, there has been lawyers that have, in their own language, been unalived. You and I tend to call that killed, assassinated, removed, whatever. They tend to try and use nice language like unalived. But in the end, the truth will always come out. I had no idea at the start of this journey how much they would fight to hang on to power. I knew that they'd be taken down. I knew that the end game happened 3 years ago, and they were taken down. But boy, oh boy, didn't they put up a fight. They put up one hell of a fight, and they still are. But don't get distracted. Also, it's very interesting that Iran has now decided to cancel all communications with the US and with Israel because they cannot be trusted. The one thing with the Iranians, whether you like them or not, if they say they're going to do something, they do it. With the Americans, as in the United States of America, they cannot be trusted. Israel can definitely not be trusted. These are very testing times. And when Iran says we're not going to talk anymore, it's because they've tried many times and failed. And as I pointed out yesterday, the price of fuel in Iran is so cheap compared to our prices of fuel. It's no wonder that Israel and America are trying to knock the doors down and take control of that place. No wonder at all. Under the guise that they've got nuclear weapons from two countries that actually do have nuclear weapons. Allegedly. They're telling them they can't. Really? Wakey, wakey.
Thursday, April 9th, 3 meetings took place in the last 72 hours that no camera recorded. Charlie Ward and friends on Telegram. The first, a room beneath the Pentagon. No phones, no aides. Only 7 men in a decision that will reshape the Middle East before Friday. The second, a private jet, tail number blocked, departed Zurich at 3:17 a.m., landed at Joint Air Base Andrews. The passenger has not been seen in public since 2019. You were told he was dead. The third, Camp David, not the official. Visit the press was briefed on. The other meeting, the one with no guest list. The one where the new financial architecture was signed into law before the ink on the ceasefire was dry. Trump did not pause the strikes because of diplomacy. He paused them because the mission was already complete. The 5-day window is not for negotiations, it's for extraction. 14 high-value targets are being moved from 6 countries to a single location, a location the public will learn about soon enough. The war you saw on television is ending. The war you were never shown is entering its final phase. The deals are signed, the gold has moved, the names are sealed. Hi guys, I'm at Valiant Thor 369. This is Commander Thor's Telegram channel, and he did post something yesterday, or actually it was the day before, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Patriots worldwide, in a meeting, please bear with me. Myself and my light-being families have been underground 18 to 19 hours a day, and sometimes longer. My family are 70 and don't need food or rest, unlike myself. I'm topside 3 to 4 hours for meetings and or debriefing meetings where I eat and then get a couple hours of sleep and back down. Things have gotten worse for us due to evil realm jumpers have joined in with the reptilians to try and even the score. My families have sent more for 5,000 more Pleiadian light warriors, and we have summoned all remaining 10D and higher energy beings from beyond the magnetic veil. God's first creation, who have been in wars with these beings in and out of the realms they come from. The ones we call the Shimmering, who sent a tidal wave of frequency and vibrations, which injured many of my family, and who broke my neck, are realm jumpers that we just discovered. I'm going to try with all my being to have a complete update on eradications and rescues of all living and dead souls this weekend. I'm not promising anything, but I will do my best to keep you informed. I'm Commander Thor, aka VT, and this is my post on my Telegram channel at VVT369. Peace and all love for all of you and your families, and may God bless and protect you and your families at all times. Going back down to join my families, level 10 under Austria. Please keep us in your prayers as we continue eradicating the evil, which had a 450,000 year head start on we God's creation. Much love, VT. P.S. First layer of inner earth beings of the 7 inner layers have joined us around the planet. Wow. Thank you to the light beings and Commander Thor and all who are helping to eradicate this evil. And prayers for safety and protection, because it sounds like things are heating up with these realm jumpers. So thank you, Commander Thor, for leaving us this update.
It should shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting in July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a three-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll make it clear, I'll state my case, of which I am certain. I've lived a life that's full, traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way.